Coming up in the news, the Minister of State for Grand Bahama addressing the 2021-2022 budget and how it will impact Grand Bahama. The Port Authority outlining a number of investment projects to come on stream. And 1,000 families getting a helping hand. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping news, the Minister of State for Finance meeting with members of the media on Grand Bahama today to outline aspects of the 2021-2022 fiscal budget that relates to this northern island. The state minister telling our news team that the government's new fiscal budget, titled Accelerate Bahamas Recovery Plan, is designed to accelerate economic recovery and rebound throughout the Bahamas. Minister of State for Finance, the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, noting that the government's 2021-2022 fiscal budget includes 7 core principles that will stimulate domestic, economic, and commercial activity, strengthen the impact of much-needed COVID-19 related support, accelerate the re-engagement of displaced workers, extract greater value from the tourism sector, and accelerate the adoption of innovation and e-government technologies and services. Now, while these objectives will benefit the entire country, he says there are key components specific to Grand Bahama and Abaco.
Those persons who have property transactions, and if those property transactions are under $250,000 in value, the VAT and the stamp duty presently was 10%. The government has decided to reduce that to 0%. So for any property transaction that is of the value of less than $250,000, either you're purchasing a house, purchasing a condo, selling a house, selling a condo, and it's less than $250,000, you will pay 0 VAT or 0 stamp duty on that transaction.
Minister Thompson adds that the government has also implemented a job creation incentive program that will allow small businesses that turn over $5 million or less to be able to receive a VAT credit in order to pay for additional employees that they may hire after July 1st.
They will be able to use that VAT credit up to $400 per week per employee, up to 10 employees. And we believe that this program will help and spur businesses in Grand Bahama in particular to employ additional persons, and by employing additional persons causes their businesses to become more productive, and by causing their businesses to become more productive, it creates more economic activity and more economic growth for us here in Grand Bahama.
Also, in an effort to spur and expand economic development, he adds that the government has allocated $35 million to continue the Small Business Development Center initiatives to all Bahamians.
But the government has also provided tax concessions, special tax concessions for new and expanding small businesses. So whether you are in across the island, you will be able to benefit from these small business duty-free tax concessions for equipment and for those items needed in order for you to start your business. But in addition to that, it also allows you to bring in your first stock duty-free. And that is something that is applied across the country.
And when it comes to infrastructure on this northern island, Minister Thompson made note of the $19 million that will go toward the 4-story tower at the Ranch Memorial Hospital. He says a new school in the east is also on the way.
We have been able to allocate funds in this budget for two very important projects. We see one, the school in East Grand Bahama has been allocated $1.9 million for this budget for us to commence the construction of the major East Grand Bahama school.
Executives of the Grand Bahama Port Authority say they believe that the worst economic challenges may now be in the past, as they expressed optimism about a number of projects in the pipelines for this island. Tonight, they share why they believe this could be the economic resurgence needed to put this island back on the map. Shashina Rowe-Farquharson reports.
Port Authority executives stepping into our ZNS radio studio to have a sit-down exclusive on the Direct Talk with David G show today. The president sharing that 70% of the customer base of the Grand Bahama Utility Company now has potable water, while the remaining 30% is anticipated by the end of August. You may recall the island's water table was damaged by a 20-feet surge during Hurricane Dorian.
The reverse osmosis plant that we ordered is a mobile one as well.
Okay.
Because we learned something from the storm. We might say Dorian is the first in 100 years type of storm. We probably wouldn't see it for another 100 years. But we have planned to say, if Dorian happens again, what do we do? So we invested in a mobile plant where we can move the reverse osmosis plant to higher ground. So what happened during Dorian will never happen again.
Dorian not only impacting the water table, but had a major impact on investment as well. Senior Manager of Business Development Derek Newbold says investors pulled back after the storm. However, fast forwarding to today, the situation is different, and he says investor confidence is high.
In fact, when I say investor interest, I'm not talking about investors picking up the phone and making basic or general inquiries or people sending emails. I'm talking about people actually putting their money where their mouth is. People are applying for local businesses. People are actually setting up local companies.
Roll says last year, 150 plus business licenses were approved, and for 2021, just over 200, with that number being predominantly Bahamians. These executives say there are a number of projects in the pipeline that they're confident will assist in Grand Bahama's rebound.
Recently approved a new rum distillery. So we'll be actually manufacturing and blending rum from Freeport, and now we'll be once again exporting rum. We recently approved a pipe manufacturing company that will become a significant employer once they become operational. There are two medical universities in the pipeline. One is under construction, one is under review, and so that will be significant in that particular space. We also approved two marine waste or MARPOL treatment facilities that will bring new technology and a new industry that Bahamians will be able to benefit from.
And one of the new medical facilities is in the first phase, and the investment cost is around $30 million, while phase 2 is expected to begin in January 2022, and that is pegged at some $20 million.
They would have made an arrangement with the government for the land, and they went off to the races very quickly. Their first phase started in January of this year. It was very low-key and quiet because the financiers just wanted to get it done. And they started January and will be completed probably by November, December.
Shashina Rowe-Farquharson, ZNS Network News.
It is often said that teaching is the most important profession, since teachers are responsible for educating every other profession. Well, today, 8 retired educators were honored for their hard work and dedication and for molding the lives of countless students. The recognition ceremony taking place at the Flamingo restaurant. Our Jamila Mizik was there.
It was a day of celebration as a special luncheon was held to honor 8 retired educators who have contributed so much to the education of thousands of students across the country. Committee Chairperson Elsina Duncombe says it was important to recognize the honorees while they are still able to do so.
We didn't want to put it off any longer. We said today we would honor them And even though it's not in the elaborate fashion as we would normally do, we wanted them to feel appreciated, we wanted them to feel loved, and we wanted them to know that the Bahamas is grateful for their contribution. These honorees today, they represent almost 400 years of service collectively. And so we want to tell them that we love them, and we are so proud that they have given of their time, their talent, and their resources to help the little darlings of the Bahamas.
Honoree Marvin Roll says many educators often have the opportunity to honor students, teachers, and administrators throughout the years, so it is a delight for he and his colleagues to be recognized for their contributions.
I'm thankful that the Ministry of Education is grateful for the service that we have rendered, and of course it is our pleasure to be here celebrating with these other honorees who have such a rich history with the Ministry of Education spanning the whole Bahamas, really, and so it's a pleasure to be here.
Honoree Mary Russell says it is a pleasure to have poured into the lives of so many students over the years, and she says once a teacher, always a teacher.
It's a statement that says a teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself so that it can light the way for others. And I can speak on behalf of my colleagues. I believe that all of us, that is what we have done. So we head into retirement with immense pride, because now we see the students whom God, I would say, have entrusted into our care. We see them now being shaped, they're molded into productive citizens.
Honoree Julian Doyle Russell noting that they have done their part and it is now time for the younger generation to take charge.
There's an ancient saying that those above should teach those below, never doing anything wrong and always upholding the rights and principles by which they should have been brought up. The mantle now falls on you to carry what we started, which was a new country, an actual nation. And so it's going to take you young people to set the course.
Now the 8 honorees were escorted in grand style as they celebrated their accomplishments with family, friends, and other well-wishers in attendance. Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
In news from the court now, the court sending a message today to a 44-year-old man charged with unlicensed firearm, ammunition, and drug charges. Italia Hall has the story.
44-year-old Lamar Stewart of Nelson Road was found guilty on charges of possession of an unlicensed firearm, possession of ammunition, and possession of dangerous drugs. According to reports, all of the illegal items were found by police on Stewart's property back in October of 2020. The prosecution noting that Stewart admitted that he purchased the firearm as a form of protection because he was threatened by a gang. Stewart's legal counsel, attorney Paco Deal, telling Magistrate LaQuay Lang that certain circumstances should be taken into consideration. Attorney Deal said that Stewart cooperated with police, and he believes that the defendant should not receive a severe sentence due to the fact that he is married with a daughter and has never been in trouble with the law before. Attorney Deal telling Magistrate Lang that Stewart is of good character, an entrepreneur, a productive citizen, and not a criminal, but was only trying to protect his family, and the firearm was not taken in public. Attorney Deal then asked Magistrate Lang to consider giving the defendant a non-custodial sentence as Stewart is remorseful. But Prosecutor Kelsey Arthur telling Magistrate Lang that any time a person is caught with a firearm, no impunity should be considered, and requested that punishment be given. After hearing from the prosecution and counsel, Magistrate Lang noted that he took into account the fact that Stewart does meet certain standards, but said he must be able to balance that along with the charges filed against him. On the charge of possession of an unlicensed firearm, Stewart was sentenced to 2 years at the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services. As for the possession of ammunition charge, Stewart was sentenced and convicted to 1 year behind bars, and for the charge of possession of dangerous drugs, $300 or 3 months in prison. Now all sentences are to run consecutively. Magistrate Lang advised Stewart that he has the right to appeal his case within 7 days. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
And don't go away, the Northern Edition continues in just a moment.